he got a pick six. Pike tricked up and then ends the world with the big one-handed. Here's the pitch. Back up the middle, that's gonna be trouble. That one hit the post and then headed in.
We respect what's been done, but history doesn't win games. Hard work does. And that's why we show up.
Robert Orlowski and those UTSA Roadrunners 2 wins away from the College World Series. We welcome you in. We welcome you into the Sports Update presented by Martinez and Associates, Bobby Mendez, Hector Ledesma. What a story. UTSA Super Regional beat UT to get to the regional, to the Super Regional, and all that's standing between them and the trip to Omaha is UCLA.
Wow, what an incredible weekend it was to be a Roadrunner or even to be a fan of the Roadrunners. And I know it's tough because there's so many UT fans in the San Antonio area, but great job by the Roadrunners to stick it to Big Brother.
Plenty to get to on the show today. We've got a special athlete coming in from one of the local high schools who's done just about all of it, almost literally. Got a team going to state, got that information on that as well. The NBA Finals underway, and the Spurs, obviously, offseason talk continues. But we start with those UTSA Roadrunners. They take on the UCLA Bruins, as mentioned. And if they can get 2 of the 3 wins in that best of 3 series, or the first of 3, they are headed to the College World Series. Game 1, Saturday. These times, even though the games are in Los Angeles, are Central Time. Game 1, Saturday. Game 2 is Sunday afternoon. And if necessary, Game 3 would take place on Monday. That time would be determined. But case in point, UTSA that close to getting to the Final 8 and the College World Series. You mentioned it, getting that huge series win. It wasn't technically going to be a series. It was a regional with 4 teams, but they ended up essentially sweeping UT with the 2 wins.
You know, I can tell you on that first game, I believe it was Saturday, watching that game, it was a little frustrating to see UTSA be down by so many runs early on, and to find out that they ended up winning that ball game was pretty special. And then to have another opportunity, and also, you know, UT having to play a doubleheader on the same day, tough for them, but, you know, it was UTSA's time.
Yeah, and when you look at it, it's interesting because UT heading in lost only 12 games in the first 3.5 months of the season. One of those 12 losses came to UTSA in the regular season.
Yep.
And then UTSA then beat them twice in the regional. So if you take name and brand away, like UTSA was easily, not just better, but easily better than the Longhorns this season. Beat them all 3 times, including in Austin, including in a game in which UT's elimination was at stake. Like the Longhorns were playing to stay alive.
Right.
And UTSA still was able to knock them off. Just a fantastic effort all the way around.
Yeah, and it was just a great baseball team put together, greatly managed by their head coach. So things are special for the UTSA Roadrunner baseball team. Not to mention all the other fantastic things that are happening for that university. What a better time than now for these programs to be doing so well.
And hopefully Coach Hallmark and the Roadrunners can bring a national baseball championship, first things first, the Super Regional out in LA. Spurs, you know we're going to talk about the Spurs here, Bobby. Kevin Durant chatter continues. But something hit me as you look at the Spurs as currently constructed and the reality of the Western Conference, and thinking about this the last couple of days. When you and I have talked about Giannis, yes or no, over these last couple of weeks right here on the show, I've been open and honest about saying I'm not exactly sure where I fall because I see both sides. Well, I started thinking about it through a lens that I had not thought about it before until a couple of days ago. And credit to my friend Jeff Garcia with the Spurs Locked On Spurs podcast, who kind of maybe asked something and it kind of started heading me down this road. You look at the West. A lot of the mainstays in the West are fading away. They're no longer what they were. Lakers, Clippers, Warriors, older. Are the Nuggets going to return to being championship Nuggets? We don't know. The Timberwolves, you look at them, they're like the Mavericks, you know, no Luka, they're out. They're out until Cooper Flagg does his thing. Really only leaving the Timberwolves team that I just mentioned a little while ago, and the Rockets and the Thunder. Because teams who were like on the up and up, like the Kings, like the Grizzlies, they've kind of faded down to the pack a little bit too. So when you look at the T-Wolves, the Rockets, and the Thunder at the top, OKC clearly head and shoulders above everybody else in the West. But if the Spurs add Giannis and don't have to give up Castle to do it, they give up the number 2 pick, they give up the 14, they give up future draft picks and some salary fillers. A core of Giannis, Wemby, Fox, Castle, that's already the second best team in the West next year, I think. I think they're already better than Houston. And so my thing becomes, how do you not do that? Like, the cost matters, right? Because Milwaukee's going to say, we want Castle. That's going to be their starting point.
Right.
So if any move that involves Castle already dismantles what I just said about that's your core with Giannis, right? It includes Castle. But if you're able to keep Castle, you're the second best team in the West in a conference that's there to be taken at a time when Oklahoma City is not going to get worse anytime soon. It's just a new way of looking at it for me.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're coming over to the other side here, Hector, because as the point I've tried to make, the last few conversations that we had, is like, now is the time, right? Now, we can always keep planning for the future, but when is the future going to be here? The future is now. I think Giannis provides that immediate straight to the top of the standings for the Spurs in the Western Conference. You mentioned, some of the teams that have been there for so long. When you talk about the Lakers, you talk about Golden State. Oh, those teams are getting older.
Right.
Stephen Curry, still a great athlete, but how many more seasons is it going to take? Let's strike while the iron is hot. We have an opportunity for Giannis to come to San Antonio. I say, let's use the resources, use the assets that we have. Now, yes, at what cost do we do it? Of course, we have those names that are the untouchables, and Castle being one of those, right? So if we can manage a way to get that and start winning ASAP, I would assume that immediately we're a playoff team.
Yeah, because before my struggle was, there's no doubt you're better immediately, right? But are you better off as recent as 2 to 3 years from now if Dylan Harper becomes what we think
Right.
Dylan Harper might become? Are you better off without having to had given up basically the future draft picks and what you did to get Giannis? Are you going to be almost as well off, even though you don't have a Giannis and he's a future Hall of Famer, no doubt? Are you going to be okay, like in a very good spot as recently as 2 to 3 years from now? But then when I started thinking about the specifics of, to your point, there is something to be said for striking now because, boy, can you imagine a series between this Thunder team versus a Spurs team that's Wemby, Giannis, Fox, and Castle? Like, that would be would be really fun to watch.
Yeah, it would be so amazing to.
In addition to basically the winner gets a shot to win the West,
Yeah, I think I think it's important for us to really make that effort to have him here. Now, obviously, if things just cannot work out, as long as I feel that the Spurs made every effort to bring him here, that's telling us we want to win now, we want to win fast. And there's no telling, just to your point, about what maybe a number 2 pick could bring, right? Maybe it could be good, maybe, but we know what Giannis can bring. We know that he is already well established. He is a veteran at this point, and that's what the Spurs need. We need a veteran in order to make those kinds of runs.
Well, speaking of the aforementioned Oklahoma City Thunder, on the way next, we're going to talk about FAM as we give our thoughts on the NBA Finals. And then later in the show, high school, San Antonio Express News giving out awards. We've got one of the attendees over the weekend to that award show coming up right here on the Sports Update presented by Martinez and Associates.
Ready! Set! Go!
It's a bad idea to run a foot race against these guys, just like it's a bad idea to go up against the billion-dollar auto insurance industry all alone.
Hire Martinez and Associates. With us, it's personal.
You're gonna see me shine, 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 shine. Walking on beams of light, 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 light. Oh, 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 oh.
Welcome back to the Sports Update presented by Martinez and Associates. The NBA Finals about to get underway. If you're catching this on Friday, Game 1 was last night. But before we get to NBA Finals chatter, all of this and everything on this show made possible by Martinez and Associates. 337-1111, the phone number, 337-1111, martinez-law.com. Great folks, great attorneys. For us, it's personal is their slogan, and for them it is. In need, give them a call, Martinez and Associates, again, 337-1111. NBA Finals, Bobby. Thunder, Pacers. I think a lot of folks thought the Thunder might get here, although some people said, well, there's always the Laker factor. The Warriors could do some things. Don't forget about the Nuggets.
Right.
The Timberwolves are very young and talented. But at the end of the day, the top seed in the West got there. The Pacers, not so much. How do you see the series playing out?
Well, I botched the last one. I thought maybe the Knicks before the.
I think I had the Knicks too, though.
Yeah. But the Pacers, they just seem to be firing on all cylinders, and the shots just keep falling for them. Remarkable shots in some of the games by Halliburton and those guys. They just seem to be playing at their best right now, and that's what you need. It's just going to be a great series. In the previous segment, we talked a little bit about the Oklahoma City Thunder. So this is going to be some fireworks.
You see the series on your screen. Game 2 is Sunday, Game 3 Wednesday, Game 4 next Friday, and then we get into the if necessaries. I think the Thunder win it pretty easily. Maybe a gentleman's sweep. Give Indy a win just because they're so hot. Halliburton and Pascal Siakam are playing really well. But I just don't see how Oklahoma City, this Oklahoma City team, and maybe it's not a very good comparison because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's money. Like, that dude is already a top 5 player in the league. And what I was going to say was this team, kind of because of how young and good and versatile and long and athletic they are, they remind me of the late 90s, early 2000s Portland Trailblazers. The difference is that those Trailblazers team, Rasheed Wallace ended up being great, but he wasn't MVP great those years, right. Whereas the Thunder have an MVP in SGA, and I think that's what sets this. I think if Shai is just another, if the Thunder are built more like because the Thunder and the Rockets are kind of built similar,
right?
Bunch of good young players everywhere. The difference is the Thunder have Shai. That's the difference, and I think that's going to make the difference in this series. Is it's not just a team that's you look at them and you go, man, 1 through 10 they're very good. You look at them and you go, number 1 very good, Shai. 2 through 10. They're very good.
Yeah, I think that's a great comparison for the Trailblazers. But I still think that if these two teams matching up, I think, I'm an underdog lover of a story.
Yeah.
So I like what Indiana has done. Of course, Oklahoma, again, is top notch in the Western Conference. And I'm just going to sit and watch. I'll have some more better analysis after Game 1.
Yeah, and what's going to be interesting is, at least for us in San Antonio, we can appreciate the whole, oh man, it's what 2 teams in the finals. Remember, we went through that for so many years. The Spurs are on the national level. The Spurs are back in the finals. Oklahoma City and Indiana, not exactly the NBA's dream matchup in terms of ratings and storylines.
Not the very biggest of markets.
Not at all. We are nowhere near done right here on the Sports Update presented by Martinez and Associates. Up next, joining us in studio, one of the best high school athletes in San Antonio, not only this past year, but over the last 4 years. Her present, her past, and her future up next.
Been in a crash? It's illegal for lawyers to contact you first. If yours did, it could ruin your case. Don't trust law firms that break the law. Choose Martinez and Associates, voted San Antonio's best law firm 3 years in a row. After you've been in a crash, go with the law firm you can trust. Call Martinez and Associates. With us, it's personal.
Call 210-337-1111. That's 210-337-1111.
Welcome back to the Sports Update presented by Martinez and Associates. 4 varsity sports, 3 district championships, a trip to state, and a partridge in a pear tree. Shyniece Davis, stud at John Jay High School, joining us here on the show. Let's tell people, and a lot of you all probably already know about Shyniece and what she's been able to do. Varsity basketball, volleyball, soccer, and track at Jay. Scholarship to Boise State, congratulations, in track. In track is where she ran the 400, the 200, the 100, long jump, triple jump, and then qualified for state in the 400. I guess first question is, how did you manage to, number one, do it all? And then to excel at every single one had to be pretty darn cool.
My teammates and my coaches were such a big help. They made sure that I was on my game all the time. I was the leader of our track squad, so it wasn't as hard as it sounds. It's really easy once you go from sport to sport. You get a groove.
It's not as hard as you sound if you're superhuman like Shyniece is.
You know, this weekend, Shyniece, you took home an award from the Martinez and Associates and Arciario Sports as the Athlete of the Year, Senior Athlete of the Year. As Hector mentioned, all the accolades that you've had this year, multiple sports. Yes, it is impressive to be able to exceed in one sport, but in all those sports. How much of that is it because of being able to have that kind of experience? I know we talked a little bit before we're doing our show here about you starting to play these sports in 7th grade.
I guess the routine, like I said earlier, in 7th grade, I just kind of stuck with all 4 sports. You have to be very disciplined, and I was disciplined, thankful for my family to help keep me disciplined and help me stay on track along with myself, because I just love my team and I just love being able to play more than one sport and break that expectation.
And being able to have all that discipline, you know, that's just in athletics, but academics as well. You being able to get that scholarship. I know there were probably multiple offers, so you had a lot of choices. What was it about Boise State?
Boise State was just home to me. It felt most comfortable. The team welcomed me. My coaches were great. I had a lot of great coaches talk to me through my recruiting process, but Boise State just felt like the place to be.
You chose Boise State over this number of schools because you had several offers, right?
SMU was a really good school. UIW was a great school. Charleston Southern University was also a great school. I was in contact with some JUCOs. So all the schools were just great, but Boise State just felt like home to me.
And we mentioned all the varsity sports. She played varsity all 4 years, basketball, volleyball, track, obviously. And the only reason you didn't play all 4 years soccer varsity is because you only played soccer for 3 years. You picked it up your sophomore year.
So it wasn't enough.
So quick study, and then she immediately got on the Mustangs varsity team to add a 4th varsity sport. When you look at everything, Shyniece, when you were able to look back, we were talking about before, you kind of came on set about how we're so busy just what's next. And especially for you, graduation tomorrow. Again, if you're watching this on Thursday, Jay graduates on Friday at the Alamodome. Graduation tomorrow. And then I imagine it's boom, 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 boom. There you go. You got to get ready to get up. You probably have to be there maybe a little bit early because of certain training programs, things along those lines, coaches' requests. Have you allowed yourself a chance to kind of like look back a little bit? As young as you are, you've already accomplished so much. Have you given yourself that opportunity?
I believe I have. We've had a lot of award ceremonies and just a lot of people who tell me congratulations and who hype me up in my community. So I do believe that I'm able to be humble and look back and, just be in the moment a little bit before I go.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but not only in playing all those varsity sports, you were all district in basketball, all district volleyball, all district soccer.
Second team? Yes.
Second team. Mm-hmm. All district team. Mm-hmm. And if track gave out all district awards, you would have done that, obviously, by advancing to beyond the district meet and then eventually qualifying for state in the 400.
So in track, I was named district MVP.
There you go.
Our district.
There you go. So, I mean, geez, dot the I's, cross the T's all the way around.
We only get the best on the show, Hector.
I was going to say, you tired me out just going through all of that. I can't imagine actually doing it. When you look ahead, Boise State, and you mentioned you're going to major in kinesiology. What's in Shyniece Davis's big picture plans?
So I want to be a pediatric physical therapist.
Wow.
My little brother was born with a disability, and he has a lot of PTs and physical therapies. So I would love to be one of those physical therapists that help those kids just have a great life and get them back on track and back on step with everybody else.
That's all district person too. See.
Which,
Awesome.
Which one of all the sports is your favorite?
Track, for sure.
Yeah. So was it kind of natural that's the one that you excelled at? Not that you didn't excel at the others, but that's the one in which you're getting the scholarship to Boise State. Is that did it kind of go hand in hand? It was your favorite because you realized that's the sport that you most excelled at, or is it just kind of a coincidence in your mind because you just happen to like it and you're really good at it as well?
I believe because I'm good at it, it has a part to play in it, but running has just always been my favorite thing to do. Good day, bad day, I love running, and I just want to get better at it any chance that I can.
Is there any chance that maybe you try to do other sports at Boise State?
If they would let me do volleyball, I would try volleyball. So maybe that, but we're going to take it slow at first, and we're going to see how it goes.
So most of you will remember the J team that won the basketball state championship in 2002. Davis, a last name that was on that team. So Shyniece, your dad Jeff was not only on the team. We're kind of having some fun when Chris Ross hit that half court buzzer beater that is legendary and will never be forgotten around the 210. It was Jeff that he kind of almost ran into before he got that shot off. To continue that legacy, and I know when we were talking to your dad, he was saying, hey, look, Shyniece has far exceeded what I've done on an individual basis. But to kind of be that baton, if you will, kind of like, from what they did and that great accomplishment of winning San Antonio's last state championship in basketball to now doing what you're doing on an individual basis, I imagine that maybe adds another little layer of cool to this.
It definitely does. It makes me happy to be able to carry that legacy and to just give Jay a great name. We're a great school, and we get this bad rep sometimes, so it feels good to have so much success come from Jay and be a part of that name.
Shyniece Davis, the best that Jay and the Davis family, part of the best that Jay has to offer. Congratulations again. Thanks so much for the time, Shyniece. Best of luck. Although I know when you get to Boise State, luck's going to have very little to do with it. You're going to forge your own way. But still, best of luck going forward, and we wish you all the best. And hopefully years from now, when you're doing huge things, you'll come back and see us again.
I'll be back. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Shyniece Davis, Jay, a graduate in addition to all of the fantastic things she did in track, but also basketball, volleyball, and soccer as well. Huge part of the Mustang success over the last 4 years, and a big congrats to Shyniece as well. Still not done here on the Sports Update. Hey, still got a team at state baseball. Smithson Valley vying for it all. Touch on that when we come back right here on the Sports Update presented by Martinez and Associates.
Been in a crash? It's illegal for lawyers to contact you first. If yours did, it could ruin your case. Don't trust law firms that break the law. Choose Martinez and Associates, voted San Antonio's best law firm 3 years in a row. After you've been in a crash, go with the law firm you can trust. Call Martinez and Associates. With us, it's personal.
Call 210-337-1111. That's 210-337-1111.
You're gonna see me shine, 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 shine. Walking on beams of light, 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 light.
Man, she's an impressive young lady, Shyniece Davis.
Wow, such an honor it was to be able to be in that coverage district that we'd had on RC Audio Sports, able to cover her basketball and volleyball, and really very impressive.
Yeah, and speaking of RC Audio Sports, you and Coach Robert Villafranca and others do a fantastic job of covering these athletes and these teams on a daily basis, even when they're not directly in your coverage area. All that to say that a big shout out to Coach Robert Villafranca, really helping us out with information on Shyniece and making sure that boom, 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 she did all of this stuff. And because she did so much, you forget about some of it. You know, you remember that the track sticks out, the volleyball sticks out, the basketball. You're like, oh yeah, she did it. She did all district and this and that. So again, thanks Coach V for that helping hand. Of course, when it comes to this show, period, none of it is possible by Martinez and Associates. 337-1111, website martinez-law.com. Go give them a look if in need. Martinez and Associates, to us, it's personal. Great people, fantastic attorneys, just great all the way around. Hey, Bobby, we got a team playing for a state championship here in Greater San Antonio. Smithson Valley is playing in Del Diamond. Game is Friday, 7 p.m., Round Rock. Face Aledo, who interestingly enough beat the Smithson Valley football team last year to win the state championship. When I say last year, I mean not calendar year as in 2023 football season, because of course Smithson Valley football, the Rangers avenging a loss and this year winning, not against Aledo, but winning the state championship. And so the Rangers baseball team trying to make it 2 for 2 with football and baseball in terms of state championships out in Spring Branch.
What a time to be a student at Smithson Valley, or even be in that Smithson Valley community. For them to pull off something like that is not something very common, not in this area and not in very many areas as well. So hats off to the Smithson Valley community.
And also best of luck if you're watching this before Friday and trying to bring home that state championship to Smithson Valley, and again, make it a second considering their football team won the whole thing. That'll do it for the Sports Update presented by Martinez and Associates. Another show in the books, buddy.
That was fast.
That was fast. That was fast indeed. We will see you next week right here from the KLMO studios. Have a great week, everybody.
Been in a crash? It's illegal for lawyers to contact you first. If yours did, it could ruin your case. Don't trust law firms that break the law. Choose Martinez and Associates, voted San Antonio's best law firm 3 years in a row. After you've been in a crash, go with the law firm you can trust. Call Martinez and Associates. With us, it's personal.
Call 210-337-1111. That's 210-337-1111.